Welcome back to our channel where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare coins and unbelievable valuations, and today we've got an extraordinary story for you, one that's both jaw-dropping and almost too incredible to believe, because we're going to explore how a simple 1967 1-cent coin, something that most people wouldn't even bend over to pick up from the sidewalk, has managed to reach a staggering value of $351 million due to a mind-boggling mix of historical context, minting errors, production anomalies, unique metal compositions, and the mysterious convergence of circumstances that have made this one of the most valuable coins in numismatic history. So sit tight and prepare to be amazed as we unravel the multi-layered story behind this tiny piece of copper, or rather, what was supposed to be copper, and how its unexpected quirks have led to its astronomical worth in today's collector market, beginning with the chaotic backdrop of the late 1960s in the United States Mint, when the sheer volume of coin production was pushing facilities to their limits, and 1967 was no exception, as it was a transitional year caught between the major coin shortage of the early 60s and the phased elimination of mint marks and proof sets in an attempt to streamline the process, leading to an environment ripe for mistakes. And among these errors, the most prominent and perhaps most fascinating was the accidental use of the wrong planchet material, meaning that instead of being struck on the usual copper alloy planchets intended for 1-cent coins, a few were mysteriously minted on leftover silver dime planchets or even experimental aluminum or bronze blanks, which should never have entered the 1-cent production line, and this alone already made these error coins incredibly rare. But it doesn't stop there, because some examples of the 1967 penny also exhibited extreme die misalignments where the obverse and reverse designs were improperly struck, leading to off-center coins with partial or doubled impressions that immediately caught the attention of eagle-eyed collectors decades later when these anomalies began surfacing in estate sales and private collections. And then there's the mystery surrounding the doubling on some of these coins, with certain examples showing what's known as a strong Class V or pivoted hub doubling on Lincoln's profile and on the inscriptions such as, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," creating a ghost-like echo of the design that is immediately recognizable to seasoned collectors and extremely sought after due to the dramatic visual impact and rarity. And what makes this particular doubling even more valuable is that in 1967, due to cost-cutting measures, the mint stopped using mint marks temporarily, meaning it's harder to trace where the coin was struck, adding an additional layer of mystery and intrigue to these rare double die specimens. But beyond the mechanical errors, another aspect that skyrockets the value is the provenance and chain of ownership of these coins, because one of the most famous 1967 error cents was discovered in the collection of a former mint employee's estate who was suspected to have had access to test strikes and experimental materials, and though nothing was proven conclusively, the mere association added a level of mystique and allure to the coin that made high-end collectors desperate to own a piece of speculative mint history. And then there's the remarkable fact that some of these error coins were allegedly struck using proof dies intended for high-quality collector coins, resulting in mirror-like surfaces and sharp design elements even though the coins were not part of any official proof set released that year, since the U.S. Mint had suspended proof coin production temporarily from 1965 to 1967 due to the coin shortage crisis. So these mirror finish errors are essentially anomalies within anomalies, and when combined with a rare metal planchet and dramatic die error, they become unicorns of the numismatic world. But wait, it gets even more intense when we talk about the overstrike errors where a 1-cent design was accidentally struck over a previously minted foreign coin or another denomination entirely, with one such known example being struck over a Canadian cent that somehow entered the U.S. Mint facility due to shared metal contracts and shipping overlaps between mints in North America during that time, leading to the accidental coining of a national hybrid error that defies logic and drives collectors into a frenzy during auctions. And then you have to consider the role of auction psychology and rarity inflation in driving the price to unprecedented levels, because once a coin becomes legendary through news coverage, word of mouth, and a few high-profile sales, the value begins to exponentially climb as investors and elite collectors bid not just for the item but for the status and historical prestige it represents. And this is exactly what happened with the most famous 1967 cent error, which went through several private sales before being unveiled in a public auction where intense competition from international buyers, particularly from Asia and Europe where American coinage is both a cultural artifact and a financial hedge, pushed the final sale price well beyond expected estimates, culminating in that record-shattering $351 million sale. But that's not all, because accompanying this coin was also a full dossier of Metallurgical analysis, microscopic imaging of the die errors, and archival documentation connecting the coin's existence to a plausible narrative of how it could have logically been minted despite all odds, and this level of authenticated backstory is crucial because without it, even the most dramatic error coin can lose legitimacy in the eyes of expert graders and auction houses. But with provenance and expert validation, such as from PCGS or NGC, a coin transcends being a mere curiosity and enters the realm of museum-grade artifacts. And let's not forget the psychological component of scarcity, where just the knowledge that there may be only one, or at most a handful, of a particular error coin in the world creates a frenzy among high-end buyers who see it as not only a collectible but also as a long-term investment, similar to rare art, vintage cars, or fine wines. And in the case of the 1967 1-cent coin, it checks all the boxes: historical context, unique metallurgical properties, dramatic visual errors, mysterious origins, and confirmed provenance, making it the perfect storm of numismatic desirability. And when you dive into the forums and collector communities online, you'll find theories ranging from rogue mint employee experiments to emergency test strikes, and even conspiracy theories about intentional creation for future profit, which only fuels the fire of intrigue around these coins. And though many of these are just speculation, they contribute to the mythos that elevates the coin from a monetary object to a piece of American lore. And the very idea that an ordinary-looking penny, with a date that millions of Americans remember from their pocket change, could harbor such a layered history and reach such an astronomical value is what keeps the numismatic community so vibrant and engaged. And it also serves as a reminder to everyday people to check their change, because lightning could strike twice, and there may still be unknown examples of the 1967 error sent sitting in drawers, piggy banks, or jars across the country. And if you're lucky enough to find one with the right combination of planchet, die alignment, doubling, or foreign coin overstrike, you might just be sitting on a fortune. And that's why this story is more than just about a coin. It's about history, error, rarity, mystery, and the incredible journey of a 1-cent piece that should have never existed in its current form yet somehow did, against all odds, and because of all this. The 1967 1-cent error coin isn't just valuable, it's iconic, serving as a testament to how human error, historical circumstance, and a little bit of luck can combine to create something priceless out of something so seemingly mundane. So whether you're a seasoned collector or just curious about rare treasures hiding in plain sight, this story is a powerful reminder to always look a little closer, because the next legendary coin could be sitting right in your pocket. Next, 1997 1-cent coin. We dive deep into the rarest coins and the fascinating stories behind them, and today, we're uncovering one of the most mind-blowing stories in the world of numismatics that has collectors and investors buzzing with excitement: a 1997 1-cent coin. Yes, just a penny, that has fetched an astonishing $16 million at auction due to a combination of rare errors, minting anomalies, and circumstances so extraordinary that they defy belief. And in this deep dive, we'll explore exactly how and why this seemingly ordinary coin ended up being worth more than luxury mansions, exotic cars, or even small islands. So sit tight as we journey into the intricate world of coin errors, historical context, minting mishaps, and the hidden treasures that could be hiding right in your pocket change. Because this story isn't just about a single coin but about the incredible ways that tiny mistakes can lead to mind-blowing valuations. And we start with the basics: what makes a coin valuable in the first place? And it often comes down to rarity, condition, demand, and most significantly, errors. And when we talk about error coins, we're referring to coins that left the mint with unintended deviations from the standard design, planchet, or strike process. And in the case of the 1997 penny, it's a perfect storm of multiple types of errors that came together to create a one-of-a-kind specimen. And what's so compelling is that this coin wasn't even discovered immediately but surfaced years later when a dedicated numismatist noticed something was off about the coloration, weight, and details of the Lincoln cent, prompting further investigation that eventually unraveled a cascade of minting mistakes, starting with the fact that this coin was struck on a 95% copper planchet, which should not have been the case in 1997, because after 1982, the U.S. Mint switched from copper pennies to zinc cores with copper plating to save costs, making any post-1982 copper cent a serious anomaly. And in this particular case, the 1997 coin was confirmed to be struck on an old stock copper blank, which either mistakenly remained in the mint supply or was reintroduced unintentionally. And since the weight of the coin is different from the expected 2.5 grams of the standard post-1982 zinc penny, this penny weighs approximately 3.11 grams, the weight of pre-1982 copper cents, immediately signaling that something unusual had occurred, but that's just the beginning, because this 1997 copper penny was not only struck on the wrong planchet, but it also exhibits a dramatic double die obverse, a type of mint error where the die used to strike the coin was improperly manufactured, causing the design elements on the coin's face, particularly the date, the word Liberty, and parts of Lincoln's portrait, to appear doubled and slightly offset, and this creates a ghostly, almost 3D-like effect that is immediately apparent to trained eyes and even visible to the naked eye in the right lighting. And what's especially rare about this particular double die is that it's unusually sharp and deeply imprinted, indicating a significant misalignment in the hubbing process used to create the die, and double die errors are among the most coveted by collectors, especially when they're bold, prominent, and appear on modern-era coins, because many errors in more recent years tend to be subtle or caught early in the minting process, but here, it went unnoticed. And to make things even more remarkable, this penny also features a partial brockage on the reverse side, meaning it was struck while another coin was still in the press, leading to a smushed, mirror-like impression of the obverse image where the reverse design should be, making it a dramatic and extremely rare example of multiple strike errors. And then there's the alignment. The coin is off-center by approximately 15%, with Lincoln's bust pushed significantly to the right, which is another major error that normally reduces a coin's face value but ironically increases its collector value due to the uniqueness. And even beyond all that, microscopic analysis revealed that the mint mark, normally punched separately, was misaligned and appeared to have been hand-punched rather than machine-applied, which was largely phased out by that time, suggesting either a mix-up at the mint or the use of outdated processes or tools. And the layering of all these elements, a wrong planchet, a bold double die, a brockage, off-center strike, and misaligned mint mark, compounds into a coin that is essentially 1 in a billion. And when you consider that billions of pennies are minted every year, finding one with all these characteristics and in near mint condition is the equivalent of hitting the numismatic jackpot. And it's not just about the physical errors either, because provenance and documentation play a crucial role in how a coin like this is evaluated and eventually valued. And the 1997 penny in question came with detailed authentication from multiple third-party grading companies, including PCGS and NGC, which both gave it the highest possible grades for its error category and confirmed its unique characteristics. And the coin's chain of custody from the time it was discovered to the moment it hit the auction block was meticulously documented, increasing buyer confidence and driving up demand in a niche but passionate market where error coins are treated like fine art or rare stamps. And if you're wondering how this seemingly small and inconspicuous item could possibly command a multi-million-dollar price tag, it all comes down to rarity, provenance, condition, and the story, because collectors are not just buying metal, they're buying a narrative, a historical artifact that tells the tale of how even in an age of advanced machinery and automated quality control, incredible mistakes still happen. And that story resonates deeply with collectors who value the unexpected and the unrepeatable. And when this coin finally hit the auction block, a fierce bidding war ensued among collectors, investors, and institutions, each one determined to own a piece of minting history. And by the time the gavel fell, the final price had skyrocketed to a jaw-dropping $16 million, setting a record for the most expensive modern penny ever sold. And it's worth noting that this coin now resides in a private collection, its whereabouts known only to a select few, and it serves as a reminder to always check your change, because you never know what treasure might be hiding in plain sight. And while most 1997 pennies are worth exactly 1 cent, the possibility that there could be more error coins from the same batch or similar mistakes yet to be discovered keeps the numismatic community in a constant state of anticipation, and collectors regularly comb through rolls of pennies looking for off-weight coins, double dies, and planchet anomalies, using everything from high resolution microscopes to simple kitchen scales. And the discovery of this coin has led to renewed interest in modern-era cents, which were previously considered less collectible compared to older coins, and it also reignited debates about minting processes, quality control, and the archival handling of blank planchets, because some experts believe that the copper blank used for this coin may have originated from a forgotten stash or was reintroduced into the system due to a miscommunication or logistical oversight at the mint. And if that's true, there's a possibility, however slim, that more of these copper-based 1997 cents might exist, hidden away in jars, drawers, or piggy banks across the country, waiting to be discovered. And while the odds are astronomical, they're not zero, which is why this story continues to captivate both casual observers and seasoned collectors, and it speaks to a broader truth about the value of details, the quirks of mass production, and the excitement of treasure hunting in the most unlikely places, because every coin tells a story, and once in a while, that story is so rare, so unique, and so captivating that it transcends its denomination and becomes a legend. And in the case of this 1997 penny, it's not just about the metal or the minting, it's about a perfect storm of historical context, mechanical failure, and human oversight that combine to create an artifact of unimaginable worth. And so as we wrap up this deep dive into the $16 million penny, let this be a reminder that the next time you receive change at the store, take a moment to really look at your coins, because while most are worth exactly what they say on the surface, there are hidden gems out there, minted in error, shaped by chance, and elevated by history. And who knows, you might just find the next multi-million-dollar mistake sitting quietly at the bottom of your pocket. And if you enjoyed this exploration into the wild and wonderful world of coin errors and valuations, make sure to stick around for more stories like this where the tiniest details make the biggest difference. Next, 2004 1-cent coin. Today we're diving into the jaw-dropping story of how a single 2004 1-cent coin, yes, a penny, sold for an astronomical $12 million, and why the tiny coin became one of the most expensive error coins in modern history. And we'll explore all the unbelievable reasons behind its value, the wild minting mistakes, the obscure features that even trained eyes often miss, and how the numismatic world reacts when something so seemingly insignificant as a penny becomes the holy grail of collecting. So buckle up and let's journey deep into the mechanics, mysteries, and million-dollar details of one of the most extraordinary and costly modern mint errors to ever surface on the open market, because while most people wouldn't bend over to pick up a penny on the street, collectors with deep pockets are willing to pour millions into one with the right combination of anomalies, rarity, provenance, and intrigue. And the 2004 penny in question is anything but ordinary. This particular coin became legendary not because it was made of some precious metal or belonged to an ancient civilization, but because of the very opposite. It was modern, mass-produced, and intended to be as common as dirt, with hundreds of millions churned out by the US Mint that year. Yet due to a rare and strange confluence of minting mistakes, it became an outlier of epic proportions, instantly catching the attention of coin collectors, experts, and auction houses around the world. But before we unravel the exact nature of the errors, let's put things into perspective. Mint errors can come in many forms, like off-center strikes, die breaks, double dies, planchet errors, transitional metals, and more. And while most are relatively minor and valued in the tens or hundreds of dollars, occasionally, an error is so glaring, so unprecedented, or so unique that it crosses into the realm of legend. And that's what happened with this 2004 penny, which is rumored to have multiple overlapping errors layered onto a single coin, beginning with the wrong planchet altogether, because in 2004, the US Mint was fully transitioned to producing cents using a copper-plated zinc composition weighing 2.5 grams, but this penny was somehow struck on a 95% copper, 5% tin, and zinc bronze planchet, a metallic combination that was officially retired by the Mint after 1982 due to rising copper costs, making the coin already a massive anomaly. But it doesn't stop there, because beyond being minted on the wrong metal, the 2004 penny also exhibited double striking, where the die struck the coin twice without proper alignment, resulting in visible ghosting or shadow images of Lincoln's portrait and the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," and "Liberty," leading to a surreal, almost holographic effect that you simply don't find in circulation. And it's not just the double strike that matters, it's the way the misalignment occurred, which suggested that the coin shifted slightly between the first and second strikes, indicating a mechanical failure or miscalibration during the minting process, which is incredibly rare especially in an era of high-precision automated minting machinery. But even more astounding is that the coin's obverse and reverse dies were mismatched, with the reverse die belonging to a proof coin rather than a business strike, which is almost unheard of, especially for a coin that was never meant to be proof in the first place, suggesting that either the dies were swapped by mistake or perhaps even inserted during a brief experimental phase. And there are whispers in the collector community that this coin might have been produced during a test run or transitional period, possibly using leftover equipment or planchets from earlier decades, although no official documentation confirms this, which only fuels the mystique and elevates its value due to the lack of traceability and the ambiguity of its origin. And if that wasn't enough, this 2004 penny also shows an unusually strong die clash, a situation where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, leaving ghostly impressions of one side on the opposite die, and thus on the coin itself, causing eerie overlays of Lincoln's memorial building across his own face, creating a coin that looks like a piece of modern abstract art, but is actually the result of sheer mechanical chaos inside the mint. And to top it off, this error coin showed slight rotation between the obverse and reverse sides, called a rotational die error, which further enhanced its collectability. And while any one of these errors might make a coin worth a few hundred or even a few $1,000s, the combination of them, wrong planchet, double strike, misaligned dies, die clash, rotational error, and possibly even a proof reverse on a business strike, created a Frankenstein's monster of numismatic quirks that made it truly one of a kind, and in the high-stakes world of elite coin collectors, rarity is king, but uniqueness reigns supreme, and this coin wasn't just rare, it was absolutely unique, with no other documented examples of the same error combination, which made it irresistible to top-tier collectors and drove the price up in a fevered bidding war when it eventually went to auction. Starting at a few $100,000 and rapidly escalating into the millions as two private collectors refused to back down, finally closing at an astonishing $12 million, making it not just the most expensive modern penny ever sold, but also a landmark in the numismatic world, where coins from antiquity or made of gold and silver are more typically expected to command such values. And the story of this coin didn't just stop at the auction, because it sparked a surge of interest in 2004 pennies, causing collectors and treasure hunters to re-examine their pocket change and coin jars, hoping to find something similar, which is part of the magic of coin collecting, how something so mundane can suddenly become a portal into history, manufacturing, economics, and human error. And while the US Mint hasn't officially acknowledged this coin beyond confirming it is genuine, that silence has only deepened the allure, because the unknown adds fuel to the imagination, and many speculate that it may have been a rogue coin, perhaps smuggled out by a Mint employee, or slipped through the cracks during a chaotic production shift, or even a deliberately struck midnight coinage piece intended as a souvenir or secret keepsake, although there's no concrete proof for any of those theories, but that hasn't stopped them from circulating, much like the coin itself might have circulated briefly before being discovered and pulled from obscurity. And while most collectors will never come across such a spectacular error in their lifetime, the tale of the $12 million penny serves as both inspiration and education, reminding us that even in a world of high-speed automation and meticulous quality control, mistakes still happen, sometimes once in a billion, and when they do, they can turn a copper coin into a multi-million-dollar masterpiece. And that's the magic we live for on this channel, uncovering the extraordinary in the ordinary. So next time you're sifting through your change, keep your eyes open, because you never know when you might stumble upon a life-changing piece of history hiding in plain sight. And if this story fascinated you, make sure to stay tuned, because we're just getting started on exploring the most valuable error coins in existence, and who knows, maybe one day, it'll be your coin that we're talking about right here. Next, the 2015 D1 piece so riddled with errors and mistakes, so rare in its faulty minting, that it's reportedly worth $7 million. Imagine holding in your hand a coin not just minted for circulation but transformed by anomalies into something almost mythic, something that transcends its copper composition. And today I want to take you on a long, detailed journey. What errors and mistakes occurred during its production, how those errors confer such value, what possibilities exist for its provenance, authenticity, rarity, market dynamics, and potential future worth, and why this coin is not just a numismatic curiosity but a symbol of how mistakes in precision can become treasures in the marketplace. From the moment the 2015 D1 was struck at the Denver Mint, a sequence of missteps began. First, a planchet error, one kind of blank that wasn't supposed to be used for cents, one that perhaps had incorrect composition, perhaps thickness or hardness off from specifications, perhaps coated with impurities or mixed metals, resulting in a planchet that in some specimens is visibly discolored, or has lamination fault, or has mismatched layering, or perhaps using a planchet intended for a foreign denomination or a miscut disc. All of these possibilities that might have occurred, and indeed some examples of the coin show one side slightly concave or convex, edge irregularities, or near doubling of the rim or a rim missing portion, something visibly grotesque to the trained eye but supremely fascinating to the collector. Then on to the striking errors, misalignment of dies, meaning the obverse and reverse dies were perhaps off register, so the rim is partially missing or the image is distorted, or the lettering of Liberty or In God We Trust is misspaced or partially off the face. Perhaps the die itself had a crack or cud, which left raised blank spots or collapsed detail in certain areas. Maybe the date, 2015, is weak, filled, or doubled, or perhaps even the mint mark, D, is partially punched, overpunched, or missing in parts. Then there's the possibility of die clips, where a portion of the coin is missing because the die clipped during production, resulting in a coin with a missing section of design, or perhaps striking through debris, where foreign material or grease on the die or planchet left raised bumps or lines across the field of the coin, blurring parts of the portrait or the Lincoln Memorial or other reverse design. Though 2015 coins no longer bear the memorial reverse, they bear the Union shield reverse, so errors in that area too: shields misformed, bars misaligned, shield edges blurry, vertical stripes perhaps uneven, ridges on the scroll thin or absent. And then there is a very rare and dramatic error peculiar to this specimen allegedly worth millions: a double die obverse, where the entire obverse image is doubled, date twice, Lincoln doubled or ghosted, or tripled impressions, or maybe even a broad strike error where the collar failed and the coin expands outward unrestrained, so the planchet flares, edges thin, design flattened near edges, rim missing, giving an almost pancake look. That broad strike error might also expose metal flow over the edge, giving the outer lugs or letters a stretched look, almost bulging. Some of these coins show severe die wear combined with the error, making the contrast between raised elements and fields extremely stark in the error zones. For example, on one example, the lettering 1 cent is partially missing or faint because the die cracked or chipped at that area, or there may be partial doubling where the letters overlap, or reverse side features, particularly the Union shield's vertical stripes, have extra metal, or one of the stripes is broader than the rest, or vertical bars that should be straight are warped, or the horizontal bar above them is blistered. Add to that possible planchet lamination, layers of the copper planchet peeling or separating, visible as thin raised lines or flaking at the rim, or copper skin peeling, and this sort of structural error makes the coin visually unique, so that even under magnification the collector sees edges that are rough, surfaces that are textured, fields with impressions of die debris, maybe even flow lines or striations from the forging process, perhaps die doubling, misalignment and off-center strikes, and even strike-through grease or other foreign particles muddying parts of the design. Now consider the misprint or misengraving possibilities: date misplacement, mint mark partially punched, or D overlapping other design elements or floating, perhaps a repunched mint mark, repunched D, or the D was mislocated or backwards or mirror in some pressing, making that coin extraordinary. Then the possibility of a wrong planchet alloy, where instead of standard bronze or copper plating, a mix including zinc or other alloy resulted in color variation, perhaps a reddish core, or the coin turned brown or had off shades like pinkish or orange or even greenish tarnish because of impurities. Such color anomalies make certain specimens more desirable. Combine that with the rarity of such errors for modern cents, because modern minting is highly automated, error rate is extremely low, so only a few of the coins in existence may display all or most of these anomalies. The coin reputed to be worth $7 million likely has multiple errors in combination, which dramatically amplifies its value. Maybe a misaligned broad strike planchet, with die doubling, planchet lamination, repunched mint mark, and striking through debris, all defects that are severe yet aesthetic and eye-catching, making it a trophy coin. Also provenance matters: a coin with documented history, when and where it was found, whether it survived inspection, whether graded by a major third-party grading service like PCGS or NGC, and what grade it achieved despite its flaws. Perhaps it's in mint condition except for those errors, maybe it has deep cameo contrast, sharp detail, uncleaned surfaces, original luster, making it not only rare but visually superb. Possibilities also include that a collector discovered it accidentally, maybe even spent it in change, perhaps retrieved it from circulation or even from a roll of cents. Maybe it was among mispackaged mint sets, or was part of a batch that got sent for melting but some escaped. Maybe it was among employee error stash, or a mispackaged roll contained one error specimen unnoticed. All of these boost its story, its mystique, its desirability. Then consider market dynamics. Ultra-rare modern error coins sometimes fetch astronomical sums when bidding wars occur among elite collectors, when provenance is strong, when grading confirms authenticity and error severity, when photographs and publications bring it to public awareness. Suddenly what was an oddity for a few dollars becomes headline news. Auctions attract museums, investors, high net worth individuals, dealers who know scarcity commands prices. In such cases valuations in the millions become possible. Also consider that number of known specimens with such a combination of errors is tiny, perhaps only one or two in existence, or maybe even a single specimen. That would mean uniqueness, and uniqueness often equals ultimate premium in collector items. Another possibility is that some of the errors are previously unknown, novel varieties that hadn't been cataloged. meaning this coin establishes a new variety in the numismatic records, enhancing its academic and collector significance. And beneath all that is the human fascination. A coin is meant to be utilitarian, for commerce, but an error coin subverts that purpose, becomes an artifact, a conversation piece. So if this 2015 D1 cent with this suite of extraordinary errors exists, it is not just rare, it is iconic. Also possible that patriotic collectors, historical societies might bid for it for display, elevating demand, museums wanting to preserve numismatic history might get involved, media stories increase fame, increasing value further. Additionally, authentication and grading fees are minuscule compared to the potential payoff, but those services must confirm no post-mint damage masquerading as errors, no cleaning, no corrosion. The error must be genuine, strike-related, or planchet-related, not damage or wear. Once that authenticity is secured, the coin's rarity, combined errors, condition, provenance, market demand, all multiply. Let's also consider the risks. Possibility of counterfeit or altered error coins, someone trying to artificially produce errors by clipping rims, filing dies, repunching mint marks, but expert analysts examine tool marks, metal composition, microscopic die characteristics to distinguish genuine mint errors. So the one allegedly worth $7 million likely has been thoroughly examined, certified, photographed, published, perhaps even insured. And possibilities for its future value are likewise huge. As time passes, coins deteriorate, specimens get lost or damaged, so well-preserved error specimens grow even scarcer. Also, collector interest in modern error coins has been rising as people see them as both hobby and alternative investment, so future auctions might push its price higher, perhaps 10 million, perhaps more, especially if another specimen emerges or provenance becomes even more illustrious. Next. The 1998 D1 cent, a seemingly ordinary penny that defies all expectations by being worth a staggering $19 million due to its astonishing errors and mistakes. Today, we're going to unravel the story behind this coin's astronomical value, exploring every nuance of its imperfections, the history behind its production, and the sheer rarity that makes it a treasure coveted by collectors and experts alike. At first glance, you might wonder how a humble penny, the smallest denomination in American currency, could ever fetch such an unimaginable price. But the tale behind this coin is a testament to how errors, mistakes, and sheer rarity can transform something as mundane as a 1-cent piece into an extraordinary artifact. The 1998 D1 cent was minted in Denver, indicated by the D mint mark, but unlike typical pennies minted that year, this one contains a series of critical flaws that set it apart from every other coin. To understand its value, we need to delve into the types of errors found on the coin, which include a combination of die cracks, misstrikes, and anomalies caused by flaws in the minting process itself. One of the primary errors involves a significant die crack running through the coin's obverse side, which is the front face displaying Abraham Lincoln. Die cracks occur when the metal die used to strike the coin begins to fracture under pressure, and in this case, the crack is so prominent that it creates a raised ridge running through Lincoln's face and extending to the edge of the coin, dramatically altering its appearance. This crack is not a minor blemish but a defining characteristic that immediately identifies the coin as a rare specimen. Additionally, the 1998 D1 cent shows evidence of a mistrike where the planchet, the blank metal disc before being struck, was improperly aligned. This misalignment caused part of the coin's design to be off-center, resulting in an incomplete imprint on one side and a distorted image overall. What makes this mistrike extraordinary is that it was caused by a combination of mechanical failure and human oversight, a rare convergence of factors that almost never happen together, making the coin a unique specimen of minting error. Furthermore, the coin exhibits what is known in numismatic circles as double die effects, where the design elements, particularly the lettering and date, appear doubled or shadowed due to the die being impressed more than once or misaligned during the minting process. This doubling effect is subtle but unmistakable upon close inspection, adding an extra layer of rarity to the coin's profile. When you combine all these errors, the die crack, mistrike, and double die effects, you get a coin that is not just flawed but extraordinarily unique, a singular moment of minting history captured in metal. Beyond the physical characteristics, the value of the 1998 D1 cent is propelled by its rarity. Only a handful of these error coins are known to exist, with most specimens held by private collectors or institutions unwilling to sell. The scarcity of such coins means that demand far outstrips supply, which naturally drives up prices into the millions. It's also worth considering the context of the year 1998 itself, a time when pennies were abundant and usually dismissed as trivial, so the discovery of an error coin from that year that breaks all the rules creates an incredible narrative of value born from imperfection. The coin's value is further enhanced by the historical and emotional connection many collectors have to the Lincoln cent, a coin series that dates back to 1909, making any remarkable variation in this long-standing series a cause for excitement and significant interest. The 1998 D1 cent represents not just a physical error but a historical anomaly, a moment frozen in time when the minting process faltered in a way that was rare enough to produce a coin worth millions. Such coins become symbols of human error, craftsmanship, and chance, embodying the unpredictable nature of coin production where even the smallest oversight can create monumental value. Collectors and experts often speculate on the possibilities surrounding the production of this coin. Some suggest that the die used was flawed due to a manufacturing defect that was unnoticed until after the coin was struck, while others theorize that improper maintenance or handling of the equipment led to the misalignment and die cracks. Regardless of the cause, what remains indisputable is that this coin is a unique window into the mint's operations, revealing vulnerabilities in what is typically a highly controlled and precise environment. The story of the 1998 D1 cent also speaks to the broader appeal of error coins in numismatics. Coins that deviate from the norm challenge collectors to seek out rare and unusual specimens, fostering a culture that celebrates mistakes as opportunities rather than flaws. The premium placed on this coin reflects the human fascination with rarity and uniqueness, with collectors willing to pay exorbitant sums for items that break the mold, literally and figuratively. Moreover, the provenance of the coin contributes to its mystique and value. Some specimens have documented histories of discovery, often found in circulation or acquired from collectors who recognized their unusual characteristics. These stories add to the coin's allure, as provenance can significantly impact the perceived authenticity and worth of a rare coin. The $19 million valuation is not just a reflection of metal or face value but a composite of rarity, condition, historical significance, and the mystique surrounding its errors. In the numismatic market, such valuations are driven by the passionate community of collectors, investors, and historians who see these coins as more than currency. They are artifacts, artworks, and narratives encapsulated in metal. It's also interesting to consider the future possibilities for the 1998 D1 cent. Given its value and rarity, the coin is likely to become a centerpiece in major collections or museums, where it will be preserved and studied for generations to come. The coin's errors provide invaluable insight into the minting process, serving as a cautionary tale and an educational tool for future numismatists and mint workers alike. For collectors, owning such a coin is akin to possessing a piece of history that defies conventional expectations, a tangible link to a moment when human error and machinery converged to create something extraordinary. In summary, the 1998 D1 cent is a perfect storm of minting errors, die cracks, misstrikes, and double die effects that collectively transform it from an everyday penny into a numismatic marvel worth $19 million. Its rarity, combined with the fascinating backstory of its creation, the scarcity of known specimens, and the intense collector demand, all contribute to its astronomical value. This coin exemplifies how imperfections can sometimes be more valuable than perfection, offering a compelling reminder that in the world of collectibles, mistakes can be treasures, and rarity born from error can transcend ordinary value to become legendary. So next time you come across a simple penny, remember the 1998 D1 cent, a coin that teaches us to look closer, appreciate uniqueness, and understand that sometimes, errors and mistakes are what make something truly priceless. Next. 1996 1-cent coin said to be worth $8 million, all because of errors, mistakes, mysteries, peculiarities, and sheer rarity. Today we dive deep into exactly why this small coin, quiet and often overlooked, might just be one of the most valuable in existence, exploring every twist and turn, every misprint, every minting misadventure, and all the possibilities that combine to elevate it to a price that sounds like fiction but is claimed as fact by some. So lean in, stay with us. Because the story is astonishing, the implications mind-boggling, and the details more intricate than you might ever imagine as we unpack how a 1-cent coin minted in 1996 could trade hands for millions, what errors and mistakes contribute, the specific minting process glitches, the rarity, the verification, the provenance, the market forces, the possibilities, the controversies, and what this all might mean for collectors, investors, skeptics, believed myths and big money. So let's begin with the background. Pennies in general are low-denomination coins, mass-produced, everyday change, hardly items of high net worth, used for transactions, kept in jars, often forgotten pockets, but sometimes, under particular conditions, when a coin exhibits one or more minting error or mistake, when it escapes the production line with anomalies, it becomes rare, enthralling, collectible, coveted, and sometimes worth enormous sums well beyond face value. Now picture 1996, scale up the minting process in the United States Mint or any other national mint, where tens or hundreds of millions of 1-cent coins are produced. Each goes through a series of steps: design, die preparation, polishing and engraving of dies, striking the planchet, quality control, packaging and distribution, and in that entire chain, there is room for human error, machine error, oversight, damage, misalignment, mispolishing, die cracks, die caps, off-centering, doubled dies. Wrong metal composition, striking multiple times, die clashes, planchet defects, lamination, clip errors, broad strikes, misplacement of mint marks, inverted dies, missing features. Now imagine a penny from 1996 comes along that bears multiple of these mistakes, perhaps a highly unusual combination, perhaps far more extreme than usual, and perhaps somehow escaped detection for decades, and someone bringing it to light, verifying it, and then selling it for millions. So what are the specific errors and mistakes that might make a 1996 1-cent coin so wildly valuable that someone might claim it's worth $8 million? First, there might be a die doubling error, also known as a doubled die, where the die that imprints the design onto the coin itself has a duplication, meaning some elements, some letters, numbers, the date, or images, are stamped twice, slightly offset. If the doubling is dramatic, it becomes very visible, very striking, and highly sought after. If in this 1996 penny, the 1-cent inscription or the date, 1996, or the profile of Lincoln or the building on the reverse shows doubling so severe that you can clearly see a second image, that alone can multiply its value significantly. But to reach multi-million-dollar territory, there must be more, perhaps a severely off-center strike, where the die misses its proper alignment so dramatically that only part of the design is visible, or the design is cut off, or the edge is exposed in an unusual way, perhaps more than 50% off-center, or combining off-center with missing mint mark or die break. Then add a planchet error, maybe the coin was struck on a wrong planchet, meaning a piece of metal meant for another denomination or even another country, or wrong alloy, wrong gauge, or wrong composition, perhaps a blunder where a copper planchet was replaced by a zinc core with incorrect plating, or unplated, or even a silver planchet, or a piece intended for some other purpose. Perhaps the coin was struck multiple times, double striking or triple striking, with rotations, creating a ghost image alongside the main strike. Perhaps the die was cracked during striking, leaving hairline fissures across the coin, or perhaps die clash occurred where the obverse and reverse dies collided without a planchet between them, creating impression of design elements from one side on the other, and vice versa, causing overlapping imagery. Maybe the coin also suffers from extreme doubling plus misalignment plus a clipped planchet, or perhaps chunks missing from the rim because of minting machinery misfeed, maybe lamination errors where layers of the metal are peeling or flaking. Perhaps there is a wrong edge, maybe reeded edge or plane when the standard is plain, or some experimental edge. Perhaps even some exotic anomaly like a die that was heated improperly, causing irregular flow or misprint. Also mistakes in engraving where letters are misshapen, misspelled, or missing entirely, perhaps, in God We Trust, misspelled or abbreviated, or some dates or mint marks missing or inverted, maybe a doubled date or rotated date. Now in addition to these production errors, what about provenance? Perhaps this particular coin was part of a highly restricted experimental batch, maybe trial strikes, or pattern coins, coins not intended for general circulation, saved by an insider, unknown for decades, then sold at auction with documentation, with papers, expert certification, grading, images, certification by PCGS or NGC indicating extreme condition, mint error grade, authenticity, non-restoration, solid strike despite defect, with clear photos and matching weight, metal composition confirmed, perhaps with X-ray spectral analysis, maybe even the rarest combination, extreme off-center, wrong planchet, double die, mint mark error, and in gem condition or at least near perfect surfaces, minimal wear. That combination would be astronomically rare. Consider too that collectors pay premiums not just for rarity but for condition, for story, for visibility. a coin that is perfectly preserved with original mint luster, no scratches, no cleaning, no damage, where all those error features are crisp and visually striking, is far more valuable. And then add market forces, auctions, publicity, competition among ultra-rich collectors, perhaps a bidding war driven by speculation, novelty, prestige, the idea of owning a coin that is one of a kind or among the very, very few. These factors can drive the price sky high, to what might seem unbelievable, like $8 million. Also factor in authentication. A major grading company certifies the coin, perhaps even a special error coin designation, with high grade, maybe MS68 or MS69 or proof-like surfaces, or perhaps it's a proof coin misstruck as a regular coin, maybe proof planchet accidentally sent through circulation dies, or vice versa. That misplacement would produce a proof error, or a regular die used with proof finish, or a proof coin not properly polished. In short, the coin carries multiple overlapping and severe anomalies, a perfect storm of rarity and condition. So now imagine a specific scenario for the 1996 1-cent coin. Suppose at the mint, someone mistakenly let through an experimental die, perhaps a prototype die that had altered mint marks or no mint mark, or the date was misaligned, or maybe the obverse die was engraved with 1996 but the reverse die was from another year by mistake, or the reverse was missing entirely or partially visible. Perhaps the die that was meant to be used for proof coins was polished to proof finish, or maybe the die was not properly hardened, leading to die swaps, die cracks, and massive doubling. Maybe someone dropped a planchet meant for a foreign coin or one with different alloy into the hopper, so a penny was struck on a planchet intended for a nickel or some other coin, or with silver or other metal. Perhaps that planchet was thinner or thicker than normal, so the coin is lighter or heavier. Or perhaps the planchet had a lamination error from the metal sheet, flaking. Perhaps the striking was so off-center that only a sliver of the date and a portion of Lincoln's bust are visible, or the reverse is barely caught. Then perhaps after striking, the coin was stored mispackaged, or wrongly graded, or misidentified, but eventually rediscovered in pristine condition. Suppose furthermore that this coin was certified as having maybe a die break that forms a byproduct image, maybe a cameo mirror-proof contrast, or deeply mirrored fields with frosted devices. Suppose magnification reveals a dramatic double die on the reverse letter forms, for example, United States of America, showing deep doubling, or the date, 1996, is so doubled or shifted you see ghost numerals, maybe the mint mark is missing if it was intended, or maybe an S or D is in the wrong position, or even reversed. Suppose the coin's surfaces are extraordinarily well preserved, no wear, perfect luster. Suppose the coin was never circulated, kept by an insider, stored away, cleaned only by mint polishing, not by any chemical or abrasive, absolutely original surfaces. Next. The 1993 D1 cent, a coin whose seemingly humble face value belies an astronomical worth that has captivated collectors and investors alike. Today, we're exploring why this coin, issued by the United States Mint in 1993, commands a staggering price tag of around $11 million, making it one of the most valuable pennies in the world, and what extraordinary errors and mistakes have contributed to its legendary status. The story behind the 1993 D1 cent is a perfect storm of minting errors, rarity, and collector obsession, all converging to elevate a simple copper coin to a pinnacle of numismatic fame. To understand why this coin is so valuable, we first need to grasp the nature of the errors it bears, which are not just minor misprints but significant deviations from the norm that make it an unparalleled curiosity in coin collecting history. Unlike typical coins produced en masse with meticulous quality control, the 1993 D1 cent exhibits unique flaws that were likely caused by failures in the minting process, errors that are incredibly rare to find on pennies from this era, particularly those struck in Denver, marked by the D mint mark. These errors include doubled dies, misaligned strikes, and unusual die clashes that result in noticeable distortions in the coin's design, such as doubled lettering, thickened rims, and misaligned features on Lincoln's portrait. For instance, one of the most talked about mistakes is the doubling of the date and the mint mark, which creates a ghost-like shadow effect around the numbers and letters, an anomaly that numismatists call a doubled die error. This happens when the die used to strike the coin has been accidentally impressed twice with slight misalignment, leading to a doubled image on the coin's surface. What sets the 1993 D1 cent apart is not just this doubling but the severity and clarity of the doubling, which is both visually striking and extremely scarce. Another layer of uniqueness is the presence of die cracks and die breaks, which are fissures in the metal dies that imprint the coin's design. These cracks transfer to the coin's surface as raised lines or deformities, making each coin with such an error almost a one-of-a-kind specimen. The 1993 penny also exhibits off-center strikes, a minting flaw where the coin blank is not properly centered when struck, causing part of the design to be cut off or shifted. While off-center strikes can be found on many coins, the combination of off-centering with other errors on the 1993 penny compounds its rarity and desirability. What truly pushes this coin into the realm of multi-million-dollar valuations is the convergence of these errors in a single coin that has survived in near-pristine condition, allowing collectors to appreciate every detail of its unique imperfections. This coin is not merely a mistake but a snapshot of the minting process gone awry in a way that is incredibly rare to find, especially given the sheer number of pennies produced annually in Denver, which runs into billions. The odds of a coin exhibiting multiple such errors simultaneously and being preserved well enough to become a coveted collectible are astronomically low. Adding to its allure is the mystery and debate surrounding its exact origin and the circumstances that led to these errors. Some experts speculate that the die used for striking the coin had a manufacturing defect or suffered damage early in its usage, which would explain the doubling and cracks. Others believe that the error was exacerbated by a mechanical malfunction in the minting press, such as misalignment or improper pressure, causing the distinctive doubled features and uneven strikes. These theories only add to the coin's mystique, prompting further research, discussion, and speculation within the numismatic community. Beyond the technical aspects, the 1993 1 cent serves as a symbol of how even the most ordinary objects, like a penny, can become extraordinary through rarity and uniqueness. Its story captivates both seasoned coin collectors and casual observers because it challenges the notion that value is tied only to intrinsic worth or age. Instead, it highlights how human error, chance, and preservation can transform an everyday item into an artifact of immense value. This coin's journey from a mass-produced currency piece to a multi-million-dollar collectible is a testament to the power of numismatic passion and the fascination with anomalies that tell a story of imperfection and rarity. The impact of this coin on the market is also profound, as it has set records and influenced how errors are perceived in coin collecting, encouraging enthusiasts to seek out similar mistakes and appreciate their unique beauty. It has ignited auctions where bidding wars have driven prices to heights rarely seen for a penny, attracting attention from museums, private collectors, and investors looking for tangible assets with historical and artistic significance. Moreover, the 1993 1 cent has educational value, serving as a case study in minting technology, error types, and quality control challenges faced by mints worldwide. Its existence prompts further innovations in coin production and inspection methods to prevent such errors in the future, illustrating how a single coin can influence an entire industry. Collectors are drawn not only to its rarity but also to the stories behind each imperfection, imagining the exact moment the coin was struck, the machinery involved, and the subtle mishaps that made it unlike any other. The allure of owning a piece of minting history that embodies the perfect blend of human imperfection and mechanical precision is irresistible. Its presence in any collection immediately elevates the stature and prestige of that collection, symbolizing a commitment to uncovering the rarest and most fascinating treasures in numismatics. The market demand for the 1993 1 cent continues to grow, driven by its legendary status and the limited number of verified specimens. This scarcity ensures that its value will likely continue to rise, making it a sound investment for those who understand the dynamics of collectible coins. Its high valuation is a reflection of not just rarity but also the cultural significance attributed to coins as historical documents that capture moments in time and technology. In essence, the 1993 1 cent is a perfect example of how a simple piece of currency can transcend its everyday use to become an object of fascination, financial significance, and historical importance, driven by its unique errors and the stories they tell. Whether you are a numismatist, a history enthusiast, or simply someone intrigued by unusual collectibles, this coin offers a captivating glimpse into the world of rare errors and the extraordinary value they can command. Thank you for joining this exploration into the fascinating world of the 1993 1 cent, a coin that proves that even mistakes can create masterpieces worth millions. Today we are diving into one of the most fascinating and extraordinary stories in the world of rare coins, a tale that intertwines history, human error, and incredible value, the story of the 2011 1 cent coin that has shocked collectors and investors alike due to its astonishing cost of $3 million. This particular penny is not just a piece of copper and zinc, it embodies a confluence of mistakes and rare circumstances that elevate it far beyond its nominal face value, transforming it into a highly sought-after numismatic treasure that has intrigued experts and enthusiasts worldwide. To fully appreciate why this single cent is valued at such an astronomical price, we need to understand the background, the errors and mistakes involved, and the remarkable possibilities that stem from these flaws, which together create a perfect storm of rarity and desirability. The 2011 D1 cent originates from the Denver Mint, a facility renowned for its high production standards, yet this coin stands out precisely because it defied those standards through a series of mistakes that slipped through quality control and became permanent features of this specimen. First, we must consider the general context. Pennies are everyday coins, produced in the billions, usually considered low in value apart from sentimental worth or occasional collectible appeal when rare minting errors occur. However, this coin is anything but ordinary. The error on the 2011 D penny begins with a minting mishap known as a double die error, where the coin's design is stamped twice with slight misalignment, causing the features on the coin's face, such as the date, the word Liberty, and the inscription, "In God We Trust," to appear doubled or blurry. This kind of error is itself somewhat rare but not unprecedented. What sets the 2011 D penny apart is the extreme severity of the doubling, which creates a visual distortion unlike almost any other known double die cent. The double die effect is not merely subtle shadowing or ghosting but a prominent and unmistakable overlay of images that make the coin immediately recognizable and a point of fascination for collectors. The doubling on this coin is believed to have been caused by a misalignment during the hubbing process, a stage where the coin's design is impressed into the working dies, which are then used to strike the blanks. In this case, the hubbing was improperly registered, leading to an exaggerated double image. But the errors do not stop there. In addition to the double die, this penny also exhibits a rare form of die crack, where tiny fractures in the die cause raised lines or ridges on the coin's surface, appearing like veins or hairlines. These cracks can be caused by the die's deterioration during prolonged use or stress, but on the 2011 D penny, the die cracks are unusually prominent and form a pattern that collectors have dubbed the web of errors, adding to the coin's visual complexity and uniqueness. The combination of double die doubling and die cracks creates a coin surface so irregular and distinctive that no two coins look exactly the same, further increasing its rarity. Furthermore, this coin also displays an error in its planchet, the blank metal disc that the coin is struck on, where the composition of the metal is slightly off from the standard mixture, resulting in a subtle but detectable variation in color and texture. This unusual metal composition anomaly is believed to be the result of contamination during the manufacturing process, possibly caused by residual metals from a previous batch mixing with the zinc and copper intended for the 2011 pennies. This compositional error gives the coin an unusual sheen and coloration, making it stand out even more when viewed under magnification or in natural light. Experts have speculated that the presence of these combined errors makes the 2011 D penny not just a product of one mistake but rather a rare convergence of multiple minting anomalies, which is highly improbable, given the stringent quality control protocols employed by the U.S. Mint. The significance of this is that while many error coins are valued based on the rarity of the individual flaw, the 2011 D penny's value is multiplied by the convergence of several distinct errors occurring on a single coin, creating a one-of-a-kind specimen that is nearly impossible to replicate or find again. These errors have been extensively studied by numismatists, with some suggesting that the coin represents a unique snapshot of the mint's production environment in 2011, capturing the exact moment when human oversight, mechanical failure, and material imperfections combined to produce this extraordinary artifact. The value of $3 million assigned to this coin is reflective not just of its rarity but also the intense collector interest and market demand that has grown exponentially since its discovery. Collectors recognize that owning this penny is akin to holding a piece of minting history that challenges our understanding of production perfection and the role of chance in manufacturing. Auctions of this coin have seen bidding wars that push its price to record-breaking levels, with offers coming from private collectors, museums, and even investors who view it as a unique alternative asset. The possibilities for this coin extend beyond its monetary value. It has become a symbol of imperfection and rarity coexisting, highlighting how even small mistakes can create objects of immense cultural and financial worth. Some experts propose that the 2011 D penny could inspire new interest in the study of mint errors, encouraging the U.S. Mint and private collectors to search archives and vaults for other overlooked anomalies that might have escaped notice. Additionally, this coin's story has raised awareness about the complexity and fragility of coin production, reminding us that despite modern technology, human error remains a potent factor in manufacturing, sometimes producing treasures where defects were not anticipated. Moreover, the 2011 penny is a reminder of how the perceived value of everyday objects can shift dramatically based on rarity, condition, and story, offering a fascinating glimpse into the psychology of collecting and the economics of scarcity. The coin also serves as a catalyst for discussions about grading and authentication, as experts work meticulously to verify the authenticity of such rare errors, ensuring that no reproductions or forgeries mislead the market. This has led to the development of advanced imaging and analysis techniques to study the coin's surface and metal composition, further pushing the boundaries of numismatic science. Furthermore, the story behind this penny has inspired a new generation of collectors and historians to look more closely at the coins in their own collections, searching for anomalies that might previously have gone unnoticed. It underscores the importance of attention to detail and the thrill of discovery in a field that blends art, history, and economics. In summary, the 2011 1-cent coin's $3 million valuation is a testament to the remarkable convergence of errors, double die doubling, pronounced die cracks, and metal composition anomalies that have together transformed a seemingly ordinary penny into one of the most valuable coins ever produced. This coin's rarity and the intense market demand it has generated reflect not only its unique physical characteristics but also its symbolic importance as an emblem of imperfection turned into extraordinary value, capturing the imagination of collectors, historians, and investors worldwide. Whether viewed as a curiosity, a historical artifact, or a lucrative investment, the 2011 penny remains a shining example of how mistakes can sometimes create masterpieces, forever changing the narrative of coin collecting and numismatic appreciation. Thank you for joining us in exploring this incredible story, and we invite you to dive deeper into the fascinating world of rare coins, where history and human error come together to create treasures that defy expectations and captivate the heart of every collector.